What we see often is in elementary level and younger, the interest in the natural world, the interest in science, the interest in how the world works is very even across gender, race, ethnicity. As kids get older, as children get older and enter the school system, I think you see a lot of introduction of gender bias, racial and ethnic bias, who's good at math, who's not good at math. We're trying to engage young people in these fields to show them why they need to learn this. Like what you can do with STEM, what you can do with engineering, what you can do with math. The interest is there. There are diverse people interested in these fields. They are out there, and we need to encourage them so that they can come into fields like the financial industry, fintech, cybersecurity, engineering, take your pick.
I think we do have to look at it both from the pipeline aspect of challenges around attracting girls and women into STEM fields, as well as retention once they're in the workforce. So I think from a pipeline standpoint, while definitely encouraging to hear Ben's perspective on the interest, there are still cases where girls can be taught from a young age that technology is boring or insular or antisocial or even too hard for them. And then I think even for girls who do show an interest, there's a lot of forces working against them throughout the high school and college years, right? Examples include some of those negative stereotypes about computer science that are portrayed by popular culture, pressures, especially during high school, to do what their friends are doing. And then just lack of a lot of senior female role models or just people in their lives that are encouraging them to pursue majors or careers in STEM.
Yeah, I think Ben laid a great groundwork and framework for what's happening earlier in people's lives. Our research focuses on what happens once they're in career. CTI has done about a decade of research on the challenges for women in STEM. And that started in 2008 when we found that over half of highly qualified women in science, engineering, and technology end up leaving the field. It's for, as you said, a lot of cultural reasons. And that all points to a broader cultural challenge that's getting in the way. In our most recent piece of research published earlier this month, Wonder Women in STEM and the companies that champion them, we looked at what are some of the cultural solutions that can be put in place. And I think the key is that we need to have those cultural changes and solutions start at the organizational level. We don't need to fix the women. We don't need to fix the candidates. There's the interest that's already there. What we need to fix is the system. What are the company level changes we can make?
What we're trying to do at BNY is to kind of take the core STEM function itself and see if we can transform that to be more inclusive. So we're fundamentally stemming differently, to put it that way, right? And I'll give you an example with software engineering. Software engineering is fundamentally, or has been in the last 30, 40 years, a rock star culture that asks every one of the engineers to essentially isolate themselves while they do the work of engineering. So changing the core STEM function and how you do it is as important as creating that kind of cultural supportive surround. And it has to do with, again, transforming software engineering to something that's more collaborative. I do think there's a chance that we might disenfranchise the next several generations of innovators, the next several generation of leaders and thinkers, if we don't change our cultures to be more supportive. And if we don't do that, we risk isolating and not drawing that next generation of talent.
I think I see the urgency. However, even with that, I'm not sure that we can say we've collectively been able to move the needle in a meaningful way. And I think to the point about consequences, I think they're pretty extreme, not just for technology or financial services companies, but across many different industries. At DTCC, we are rapidly growing and have a lot of opportunities in new technologies such as cloud, distributed ledger, AI. But those skills are all in demand, right? We're all looking for the same skills, and then when you add the lens of diversity, it just makes that demand-supply challenge even bigger. So I think a lot of people would say that AI is poised to be one of the most disruptive and impactful technologies since the internet, and it's literally being embedded in everything we do, whether you kind of realize it or not. And I think just like any technology, AI is going to reflect the values of its creators, and it's only as good as the data that's fed into it. So if you think about it, with AI solutions being developed primarily by white males, right, you've got the potential for bias there. And also the data, so if you think about an example like using AI for hiring recommendations, if you're feeding it historical data on who, you know, have been the best candidates historically, you know, it's likely gonna recommend white males, but it's putting women or underrepresented groups at a disadvantage. And I think that technology is still evolving, so it's in some cases morphing and having behaviors that the creators really didn't intend or anticipate. Just that AI case alone, I think, is a great example of why having a diverse talent pool that's shaping the future as we speak is so important in technology.
We were able to create a rank order of the top 10 programs or solutions that really support women in STEM and really help them advance and stay, because that's what companies are trying to do. And they are a commitment to pay equity, opportunities to engage with consumers, time for side projects, sponsorship programs, manager training on empathy, integrity, or inclusion, mentorship programs, leadership development programs, concierge services or family care, employee resource groups, and anti-bias policies or training. And that's kind of the order of them, so you can really see which things are having the greatest impact and which are less. You know, if you're trying to figure out where to invest, where you'll get the best return, this list can hopefully guide companies into really directing their efforts.
We do have a number of programs, fortunately very similar to the list that you said of effective programs. For attracting new and early career talent, we've been running what we call our pipeline program for over 20 years, recruiting at universities near DTCC locations. We have a huge focus on diversity, especially for women in technology. So since we've been running the program, we started in 1994, we've been able to retain over 70% of those folks, and many of them are now in senior management positions within technology, which is great to see and encouraging for the future generation.
On behalf of DTCC and our guests today from BNY Mellon, the Center for Talent Innovation, and NYU's Tandon School of Engineering, thank you very much. Appreciate that.
Thank you.